right, good afternoon. I am Dr. Charity Evans. I am Chief of Acute Care Surgery and Trauma here at Nebraska Medicine. We are here today to provide an update on Governor Pillen's recovery from injuries sustained after being bucked off a horse on December 22nd. As previously discussed, Governor Pillen sustained a splenic laceration, a kidney laceration, a minor vertebral fracture, and multiple rib fractures. We are very thankful for our colleagues at Columbus Community Hospital in Columbus, Nebraska, who stabilized him that day and safely transferred him to our Level 1 Trauma Center here at Nebraska Medicine. Once here, he underwent splenic embolization, which did stop any further bleeding from that splenic laceration. I think the most uncomfortable part of his recovery was the rib fractures. And on December 25th, he successfully underwent rib stabilization, which you guys will hear a little bit more about this talk. He has been an ideal patient, very much so eager and anxious to recover. He is looking forward to returning home today with his family and friends. We are thankful for our partners and our colleagues in our emergency room, interventional radiology, ICU, and step-down units, physical and occupational therapy, acute pain, the operating room, and most of all, our trauma team, and everyone else who was a part of his recovery. As we have always known, it takes an entire army to care for a traumatically injured patient. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Zach Bauman, Trauma Medical Director and Medical Director of our Chest Wall Injury Center, to talk about the governor's most recent surgery.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. As Dr. Evans stated, I'm Zach Bauman, the Trauma Medical Director and the Medical Director of our Chest Wall Injury Program. On December 25th, Christmas night, we took Governor Pillen to the operating room to stabilize his left-sided rib fractures. He was found to have left rib fractures 4 through 10, of which he had 2 fractures on ribs 8 and 9. He received a total of 9 titanium plates to stabilize his left chest. Prior to surgery, he was extremely uncomfortable from the rib fractures, had a lot of movement of those rib fractures, clicking and popping, as well as doing poorly with just his incentive spirometry and breathing due to the significant nature of his rib fractures. The surgery was approximately 3 hours, and we were able to stabilize and restore normal respiratory function to his left chest. And since that time, he has been doing very well. He has been in the step-down critical care unit since I saw him on December 25th, and has been making a very fantastic recovery, up ambulating, coughing much better, breathing much better, and does not have any additional movement of those rib fractures, no additional clicking or popping, and I anticipate that he'll make a full recovery from his rib fractures with appropriate healing. At this time, I'll bring in Sierra here to discuss a little bit about his nursing care.
Hi, I'm Sierra. I'm a registered nurse on the step-down critical care unit. I just wanted to thank the governor for being an excellent patient and trusting our staff and our team to get him through his recovery process. Him and his family were excellent people, and it was a pleasure to take care of them.
Well, as I mentioned, we're so thankful for the team here at Nebraska Medicine and grateful that we were able to care for Governor Pillen in a way that's brought him to recovery. So we are happy to take any questions, any questions about his care or where we're headed from here.
Doctor, it's just you might have mentioned this on Monday, and I apologize if you did,
Sure.
but talking about his initial transport here to Nebraska Medicine, was that by ground through an ambulance, or was that through air?
I actually don't know. So he does arrive here. Typically, once they arrive here at our hospital, all we see is a patient on a gurney. So I believe it was by air, but we can get you that information later.
Can you talk about the timing of his full recovery? You said maybe a few months. That was before you knew if he was going to do the surgery. Does that change or accelerate his recovery process?
It does some. I'll speak to the solid organ injuries, and then Dr. Bauman can speak to the ribs. The splenic injury, as mentioned, has been embolized, which slowed the bleeding significantly. We saw no further evidence of bleeding from that injury, and the spleen will take several weeks to heal on its own. We don't foresee any complications where that is concerned. We thankfully did not have to intervene to the kidney laceration. It too, thankfully, will heal on its own. And as mentioned in the earlier press release, the vertebral fracture is very small. It's only to the wing of the vertebrae, and also will heal on its own over the next following weeks. So as far as the rib fractures,
In terms of the rib fractures, the whole goal of rib fracture stabilization is to expedite the recovery, get patients back to their activities of daily living much faster, which I think we've already seen. When I saw him in the preoperative area prior to surgery, it was really difficult for him to move around, cough, take a big deep breath, those types of things. Since that time, he's been up ambulating with ease, very frequently on the floor. I actually met with him yesterday and today, and he was eager to go home. He said he felt 100 times better, and he was very thankful that we were able to do this because he really honestly felt that he didn't know what he would be experiencing if we hadn't stabilized his chest and restored a normal respiratory function for him.
Question that came in on Zoom from Josh. You mentioned he's looking forward to heading home. Can you provide more details? Will he be released today?
yes, our plan is for him to be released today. He's definitely, like we said, eager. He's dressed, ready to go. So just a matter of time before we're able to get him out of the hospital with everything he needs. And the plan is to be released to his home with his family.
Can you talk a little bit about your nurses and your staff? What did they do for Christmas? Can you talk a little bit about how they spent Christmas?
Absolutely.
Well, I wasn't here with him on Christmas, but they definitely try to make Christmas a little bit more merry since we're in the hospital. We try our best to just make it feel less like they're in the hospital, and just make sure their family's all around. Yeah.
I was here on Christmas Eve, and yes, I would say the same. They were doing their best to keep the spirits high and really just spending time with each other. So a lot of phone calls, a lot of support for him.
As he mentioned, when he wants to get back on his horse.
He did, as I hear.
That was like one of the main questions that he asked me when I was talking to him in the preoperative area. So I think that he is eager to do that, but we'll see how things progress. Obviously, we want him to heal and make a full recovery before he does that again. So
We'd like to see some more recovery first, but do support getting back on the horse.
Do you think he will, as medical, do you think he will be in the legislature, the first day of the legislature session coming up here in about 2 weeks or so?
I would foresee yes. I think he's made, like I said, significant strides over the last few days, specifically after surgery. And so obviously want to give him time to regain his strength and to feel well again, but I don't foresee any issues.
Can you talk a little bit about how unusual that rib procedure is? I've heard that Nebraska Medicine does quite a few of these, and I just didn't know how unusual it is and what kind of benefits it offers.
yeah, so rib fixation has really become really getting a lot of popularity in about the past decade. It's gaining a lot of strides throughout the country and the world. We've been doing it regularly here since about 2016, and we actually have a dedicated program to this. We probably do about 120 to 150 rib fixation cases a year. And so I think that it's definitely provides a lot of stability to the chest and increases and expedites that recovery, prevents a lot of those complications like pneumonia, potentially winding up on a ventilator and other things. And so it is becoming more popular. I can say that it's only been around for really about a decade. And so it's still, in the medical realm, it's still a relatively new procedure, but definitely gaining strides.
Only other thing, sorry, in terms of falls and slips, obviously it's winter time. He's going to be walking across from the mansion from the office every once in a while. With your patients who have these sorts of procedures, does it reinforce them a little bit in terms of re-injury risk or anything of that nature? What does it do?
No, it shouldn't help or shouldn't propagate a re-injury by any means. Hopefully, it will help prevent that, make him more stable, less painful when he's moving around. And actually, most of the time when patients, if they are going to re-break their ribs, they actually don't break it over the area that we put the plate. They break it on either side of it. And so it actually creates a pretty solid construct.
You mentioned, I believe there were 9 plates with his surgery. Is that like a standard number? We were doing a little research yesterday. It seemed like 5 to 6 was pretty. Is that more than usual?
Yeah, I would say that it's more than usual. I would say the average is probably about 4 to 6 plates that we put per patient. That's usually the average number of rib fractures a patient has. Although they can have way more and they can have significantly less. He did have 2 ribs that were broken twice, and so we put 2 plates on those ribs, by definition known as a flail chest. And so that's why he got 9 for 7 ribs that were broken, but 9 plates total.
Any progress on the collapsed lung?
The collapsed lung has resolved. It usually resolves on its own. He had a pretty small collapsed lung. And then when we do the surgery, we actually put a little chest tube in there as well after we wash out the chest. And that has completely resolved it.
Going back to an earlier question about how the governor was transported, it was by helicopter. His office just confirmed that for me here.
So I don't know if everyone heard that. Yes, he was transferred by helicopter through air. Any further questions? Any more online? No? All right. Well, we thank you all for this opportunity to update you as well as the public on Governor Pillen's recovery. It's been really our pleasure to be here to provide this service. It's what we show up for each day. So we appreciate everyone. Thank you.
As we turn the microphone off.